This season began with both drivers closely matched once again in Bahrain, with George out-qualifying his teammate by 0.04, and Lewis getting back at him in the race, managing to secure P5, about 5 seconds ahead of Stroll and George. Let's start by looking at how the Mercedes package performed overall in the race. This table shows the average gap each team had to the Red Bulls. It's worth noting that these averages exclude the first lap, pit stops, and safety or virtual safety car laps, which tend to skew the numbers and paint the wrong picture. So you might be wondering, why are Alpine and McLaren so high up? Well, these calculations exclude pit stops, and since both teams did more pit stops than everyone else, they were able to get out on track more often with fresher tires, significantly improving their average lap time. So if we remove them and only focus on teams whose drivers have done 2 pit stops, Mercedes was the third fastest, almost 8 tenths per lap behind the Red Bulls. In Formula 1 terms, that's a big deal. Hamilton finished over 50 seconds behind Max in P1, which is a massive gap going into the second year of these new regulations. Interestingly, Mercedes' pace comes out slightly ahead of Ferrari's when excluding the first lap and pit stops, despite Lewis finishing about 3 seconds behind Sainz in the race. To caveat this, these averages only include Sainz's times, not Leclerc, who didn't finish the race. Otherwise, Ferrari would have certainly averaged out ahead of Mercedes based on the fact that Charles was the fastest car, behind the Red Bulls in the first stint. We'll post a separate video comparing the race pace between the top 4 teams, so make sure you subscribe to check that one out. Now let's focus on how the Mercedes drivers stacked up against each other in Bahrain. If you take the average lap times across the whole race distance, the gap is only 0.043 seconds in Hamilton's favor, making it the smallest gap between teammates across the whole grid. In fact, Verstappen, Alonso, and Leclerc were all over 2 tenths per lap faster than their teammates on average. Next, this chart shows us lap times of the 2 Mercs over the whole race distance. The blue lines show Lewis's times, and the red ones show George's. You can clearly see the different race stints as the times drop significantly after each pit stop due to fresher tires being put on. In the first stint, the 2 drivers were very closely matched, but Lewis was slightly faster, about a tenth or 2 per lap throughout the stint. As you can see from the steepness of these lines, both Mercedes drivers had similar tire degradation and both their times dropped by about 1.5 seconds throughout the stint. It was a similar story after the first pit stop. Lewis started slower but managed his tires more carefully and ended the stint with a stronger pace. Meanwhile, George was faster at the start but gradually lost time, leaving Lewis slightly faster overall. The final stint actually saw George have the upper hand, especially in the last 10 to 12 laps as he was pushing hard to overtake Lance Stroll for P6. Meanwhile, Lewis was battling Alonso and Sainz, as you can see in this spike here, and likely damaged his tires more than he would have liked to. He might have been caught by Stroll and George had the race gone on for another 5 to 7 laps. Lastly, let's look at lap consistency between the drivers. I evaluated it using the average deviation from the mean time, which provides insight into the uniformity of the drivers' lap times. Hamilton demonstrated higher consistency compared to his teammate throughout the race. He actually ranked as the second most consistent driver on the grid, with Max Verstappen leading the pack by a decent margin. This score rewards good tire management and low degradation, so it's not surprising to see Max and Lewis up there. All in all, despite getting beaten by George in qualifying, I think Lewis wins the head-to-head for the Bahrain Grand Prix since he finished 2 positions ahead in the race, had a slightly faster race pace and had higher lap time consistency. In any case, it's a very close battle and one I'm very excited to see develop throughout the season. What do you think? Will Lewis continue having the upper hand in the coming races, or will George fight back? Let me know in the comments below. I'm continuously adding more driver comparisons and in-depth analyses, so if you like the video it would mean the world if you could like it and subscribe to help the channel grow. Thank you and see you on the next one.